national correspondent Mark Leibovich joining us from Washington. And Mark, again, I want to ask you about the event set to begin now in Washington, D.C., really at any minute now. Donald Trump again turning his attention to personal corporate concerns. With fewer than 2 weeks to go to Election Day, what exactly is the thinking here?
Well, it is unclear. I don't pretend to be inside the head of Donald Trump on these decisions, but I mean, you could make an argument, and I think he would make the argument, that his career is business, his career is building things, his career is actually, having something to show for a lot of plans, and this is a great example of that. So he's going to showcase it. Obviously, it's going to get a lot of media attention. I mean, it's not designed for getting votes in the District of Columbia, which he's not going to win. But I mean, the more cynical, view is that he's just trying to promote his own business interests with an eye to, enriching his company, at the or beyond the election. So that could be his mindset. Clearly, it will get a lot of attention, but that's true of anything he or a major candidate would do 13 days to the election.
We heard a lot from Donald Trump, certainly in the last 24 hours, regarding the most significant reveal by WikiLeaks yet. As it appears, President Obama at least had reason perhaps to have been aware that Hillary Clinton was using private email when he previously, in fact, denied knowing anything about it in an interview with our Bill Plant. We've also seen scrambling by the Clinton campaign. Her aide, Cheryl Mills, writing, "We need to clean this up," after the revelation was made by President Obama to Bill. What's the potential fallout here?
Well, I mean, it keeps the kind of ambiguity, the sort of like the questions around these emails, the machinations, both Hillary Clinton's private emails at the State Department, and also that sort of merges this with the latest email controversy involving WikiLeaks. Now, I don't know if you would consider it a smoking gun that people get emails all the time without checking what the exact address is, whether it's a private account, whether it's a public account, whether it's a corporate account, or what have you. So I'm not sure whether the president is misleading anyone or just forgot about it. But I think obviously there's a sensitivity within the Clinton world to this that Cheryl Mills' email speaks to, and they're obviously very vigilant about this, or were certainly cognizant of how that might have looked.
We also have heard the GOP nominee really stay on message here in the last 2 days as they regard the revelations regarding premiums of the Affordable Care Act that will be rising next year in some states very significantly. How potent a line of attack can this be?
Potentially quite potent, especially if he can stay disciplined and talk about it. I mean, to me, this is a rare kitchen table issue, potentially, that can break through so much of the noise, and that could actually be a deciding issue for a lot of last-minute, undecideds. So, yeah, I mean, Obamacare is not a clean issue at all for the Clinton campaign, especially, given how closely she's linked herself to the Obama administration. And, again, it's sort of in the details of whether Trump can stay focused on this, because obviously there's a lot of other stuff around him, and today he's at a hotel, and we'll see if events overtake this. But clearly it's something that could resonate, and I think that they're focused maybe on trying to stay make it as big of an issue as they can.
Hillary Clinton addressed it very briefly in a radio interview yesterday, saying she does think the premiums are too high. She has not addressed the latest WikiLeaks revelations as yet, but she is in Florida now for a second straight day. Early voting has begun there. Obviously, the Get Out the Vote effort by the Clinton campaign specifically has been underway for some time, and we do have perhaps some tea leaves to read here, Mark. We see that 56% of the early votes have now come from women, of the some 1.6 million votes cast in a state that certainly Donald Trump will need to see a path to 270, but is really a must-win for either candidate. Such as they are, then, these tea leaves suggest perhaps what to you?
Well, I mean, I think it's good news for Hillary Clinton. I mean, 56% is not a it's not that decisive a majority, but clearly women voters have responded to her quite a bit in the polls that we've seen. The other factor in Florida is that the Clinton campaign has a huge ground game going there, and the Trump campaign seems to have very little. I mean, they have something like, I mean, the Clinton campaign has something, 30, 40 organizers on the ground. So this is a state, especially when there's so much early voting going on, when organization could really matter. Obviously, they're devoting a lot of time. Both candidates are devoting a lot of time to spending, being on the ground there. So, yeah, I think Florida right now at least looks like the prime battle spot that both candidates really need.
Mark, as always, your insight very much appreciated.
Josh, always a pleasure.